Hey guys, what's up? First of all, these quarantine nails, ooh, sad, very sad. Today's video, if you haven't guessed by the title, is gonna be about why your foundation doesn't last all day. So the way that this video is gonna be set up is I'm not gonna be walking through a foundation routine that provides longevity, because I feel like that can be different for every person, depending on your lifestyle, depending on your skin type, depending on what products you use. But instead, what I'm going to be doing is calling out some things that you may be doing as part of your routine that are actually contributing to your makeup not lasting all day, if that makes sense. So I have created a list of things that often cause makeup to not last throughout the day. Okay. There could be other things that are not in this list that are causing your foundation to break up quickly or not get you through a full work day. But based on my expertise, I'm a makeup artist, I'm an esthetician, I've been doing makeup for brides for years now. That makeup relies heavily on longevity, as well as myself. I am notorious for not touching up. I hate to touch up. I don't like to fool with my makeup once it's on. Nothing on the skin. You could barely get me to touch up my lip, okay? So I do not like to fool with skin. I am somewhat of an expert because I hate touching up. So the first reason that your makeup may not be lasting all day is that your skin is not properly hydrated underneath your foundation and your primer and all that good stuff. You gotta make sure that you're using the appropriate moisturizer for your skin type. That's a really, really important step that honestly gets overlooked a lot of the time. Regardless of your skin type, even if you're oily, you still need to be moisturizing your skin before you begin your foundation routine. You know, you may think like, oh, I'm using a hydrating primer or I have really oily skin. Like, what's the point? Moisturizer helps your skin keep its balance. In a nutshell, that's a short version. Helps your skin keep its balance. So no matter what you do, foundation, no foundation, you need to moisturize. The second mistake that you could be making is that you are not priming your skin properly. Now, primer is not always needed. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. There's a huge debate in the makeup world, especially between like working professional makeup artists and influencers. A lot of them have a difference in opinion about what a primer actually does and if it's actually necessary. Now, I have conducted my own research. I went through a phase of about 6 months where I did not wear a primer. And to be 100% honest with you, I did not notice a huge difference in how my makeup wears throughout the day. Now, with that being said, I am someone that has relatively normal skin. I'm like normal oily combination skin. So my skin in general is not super problematic. I only get oily in certain areas, and then the rest of my skin is pretty well balanced. So I guess I'm one of those kind of people that it's not absolutely necessary to prime. Now, I prime anyway out of habit because I just love the feeling of a primer. I do feel like it helps lay my foundation on the skin a little bit better. But again, for normal oily combo skin, I don't know that a primer actually boosts the longevity. However, if you have dry skin, you should be using a hydrating primer. Dry skin needs some extra love, especially before putting on foundation. On the flip side, if you have majority oily skin, I would say make sure that you are using a mattifying or oil controlling primer, or even like a pore minimizing, pore blurring primer. A really good example of that is Benefit Porefessional. Usually people with oily skin, their pores are more visible. So a product like that is going to go in and fill in the pores so that they become less visible. But like if you have oily skin, I know a hydrating primer sounds good, but if you are truly, truly oily, you don't want it. And also, if you have dry skin, what you need a mattifying primer for? You don't. You don't. Now, the third reason that your makeup may not be lasting you throughout the day is that the foundation that you are using is not the right formula for you. Everybody has their tried and true favorite foundations, okay? But just to be realistic, my favorite foundation may not work on you. Everybody's skin is different, and so not everything reacts the same way on every single person. So just because your favorite influencer, loves Lancome Tiny Doll, however you say it, girl, I can't speak French. Just because they love it doesn't mean that it's gonna work on you. Now, very much like primers, if you are someone who has like normal combo skin, you probably can get away with using a bunch of different foundations and a bunch of different formulas and finishes and things like that. If your skin is relatively well balanced, usually it's not that big of an issue. But if you have dry skin, you definitely want to stick to your hydrating foundations, your dewy foundations. Those are going to ensure that the makeup on top doesn't dry down and get matte. Okay, because once it gets matte and your skin is dry underneath, then we have caking and cracking happening, okay? So a hydrating foundation is gonna be really imperative for someone who has dry skin. Now, if you have oily skin, I would suggest using a foundation that has a matte finish to it or has some sort of oil controlling component to it, okay? Same thing as the primers. Now, oily girls, let me holler at y'all for just a second, because y'all stress me out sometimes. When you have oily skin, there's like this huge fear of grease and oil and all of this shine coming through and sliding your makeup around. I know the fear. I'm oily right in the center of my face, so I absolutely understand it. The biggest mistake that I see people that have oily skin making is using one mattifying product after another, after another, after another, after another. For example, using a mattifying primer, and then a mattifying foundation, and then a mattifying concealer, and then baking. Like, you didn't leave no moisture left in your skin. You left none. You left none. It's gone. So I've always said this, and I'm gonna say it again, your skin is smarter than you are. If you try to outsmart it and say, oh, okay, I'm just gonna absorb all the oil so that I don't get oily, your skin is just gonna be like, hold on, I don't have no oil, so I'm just gonna make more. Using a bunch of mattifying products honestly causes the skin to get more and more and more oily. You're depriving it, you're dehydrating it to the maximum extent, and so your skin is in defense mode, and it's gonna try to produce as much oil as it possibly can so that it can protect your skin. So if you have oily skin, I would say pick one product that is going to be mattifying and oil controlling. So that could be your foundation or it could be your primer. Whether you choose to bake, that's your business. But I would say just pick one. Don't use all mattifying products. Honestly, if the product is good enough, you only need one in your routine to control that oil throughout the day. Now, the next reason your foundation may not be lasting all day is that you're misusing these right here, your facial sprays. So facial sprays is that's one of the most common products that people equate to providing longevity in makeup. But I'm about to bust a myth for you. The majority of the facial sprays on the market are not in fact setting sprays. Most of them are what are called refreshing sprays. And I'm gonna explain to you what the difference is. A setting spray, a true setting spray is actually going to keep your makeup in place and control the oil on the skin. A lot of times a true setting spray also has humidity or heat or sweat resistant properties to it as well. But to be honest with you, there are not many true setting sprays on the market. One of the most popular ones that I can think of is Urban Decay All Nighter. That is a unique formula in itself. What is mostly on the market is what is called a refreshing spray. A refreshing spray takes away that powdery finish of makeup and makes your skin look like skin and not products sitting on top of it. A lot of these sprays have skincare benefits in them and also help keep the skin hydrated, which does help and aid in the longevity of makeup. But there's not anything in a refreshing spray that is actually going to keep it on your face. You know what I'm saying? There's not really anything in there that is actually going to do that. So one of the most popular refreshing sprays is this one, Fix Plus. I mean, this is a makeup artist staple, but it It even says on the back, y'all, it says Skin Refresher Finishing Mist. It is not categorized as a setting spray. It's not going to provide you any sort of shield as far as the heat or sweat or humidity or anything like that is concerned. It is gonna make your skin look beautiful and look like skin, but it's not going to necessarily prolong the wear time of your makeup. Sorry, I had to bust that myth. So with that in mind, just make sure that you are using your facial sprays in appropriate ways and that you don't have these unrealistic expectations of what they can do. Now, the fifth reason your makeup may not be lasting all day is that you touch your face. Like, this is like such a simple one, but it's one of the biggest culprits as to why your makeup doesn't last. There are so many times where I meet people and they're like, how do you keep your makeup on when you touch your face? Like, how does your makeup stay on? And I just look at them like, I don't touch my face. And then they look at me like, and then we both just looking at each other like, I don't touch my face. I don't. Like, I don't touch my face. Good habits, guys. Number one, it's gonna cut down on breakouts, keeping your hands off your face. But number two, longevity of your makeup. Your fingers have oil on them all the time. So anytime you touch your face, that oil is mixing in with your foundation, which is usually water-based, maybe silicone, but most liquid foundations are water-based, and oil and water separate. So it's gonna cause the products on your skin to do the same thing. The oil on your fingers is going to break down your makeup. So you wanna keep your hands off your face as much as you possibly can. I mean, if you have an itch, it happens, okay? If you have an itch, you just gotta know different ways to itch it. Like this, just lightly tap it. Okay, the next reason that your makeup may not be lasting all day is that you're not using the proper tools to apply your foundation or your concealer. Now, I have always envied people that could literally just take some foundation in their hands and rub it on, a little concealer and dab it on and look good and look ready to go. Okay, I have always envied people like that. But like, hand application is cute, don't get me wrong, but it is not conducive with long wear ability in any form or fashion. Will it get the makeup on quickly? Yes. Is it going to last you 8 hours? Hell no. Absolutely not. Now, I personally prefer sponges to apply foundation and concealer because they really push the product into the skin and make it kind of like one with the skin. But really, it just honestly depends on the formula of foundation that you're using. Some foundations actually perform better with a brush, like this one, Too Faced Born This Way. I love this foundation. I hate it with a sponge though. Absolutely hate it, can't stand it. It don't blend well, it's patchy, it's weird. With a brush, it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So it really is gonna depend on you, but then also the foundation formula in and of itself. It really just takes some trial and error. Like the first time you try a foundation, if you don't love it, the second time, switch up something, switch up the tool. So you have to kind of get to know the foundation that you use regularly and kind of do some research and see for yourself which tool it performs best with. There are times where foundations will launch or concealers will launch and they will say best use with this type of tool. If you have a product like that, listen to what they're saying, do what they say, because they know what they're talking about. So you want to make sure that you are using things that partner well together and that are appropriate for the formula. Now, the next reason your foundation may not be lasting all day is that you're not using a powder on top of your concealer and foundation. My mind is always blown when people tell me that they don't use powder at all. I'm just like, oh, sis, ain't no powder on there? Nothing? How? Even if you're dry, most people need powder in certain areas, okay? You don't have to necessarily powder your whole entire face, but there are certain areas of the face that absolutely need some powder. They need to be set, okay? Those areas are going to be the mobile areas of your face, the areas that are always moving. So the number one place would be underneath the eyes. No matter what, you're always blinking. no matter what. So your eyes are always moving. They need some sort of powder on top of the liquid that you're using to set it in place and stop it from moving around. Another place is going to be around the mouth. Obviously, we talk all day, we eat, we do all of that. You need something to help keep that in place as well. And then most people, I feel like, need just a little bit of powder on the sides of the nose, because even if you're dry, that is usually a place where most people do produce oil throughout the day. The fact of the matter is that foundations are usually liquid or silicone, like I said. The water, they will slide, they will move if you don't set them in place. You need something to set it. Powder is essential for long-term wear. Essential. You are not going to get 10, 12 hours of flawless makeup wear without a powder. It's not going to happen. I promise you, it ain't. I don't care what you're doing, where you live, where you going. It's not going to happen. Please keep in mind that you do want to try to use powders that are appropriate for your skin type though. So a lot of powders are very mattifying. If you're somebody with dry skin, I would err on the side of caution with those. Either don't use them or use them very sparingly. There are powders out there that actually do provide a little bit of hydration. I know that's weird and it sounds a little bit like an oxymoron, but there are some on the market that actually do that, or at least they're not mattifying. So pay attention to what the powder claims are. But in your routine, you should be incorporating some sort of powder to set your makeup in place. Now, my last tip, my last reason why your makeup may not be lasting all day is that you are using far too much product. You only need to use what is needed to cover your face. So with foundation, just start with a really, really light layer. I don't care if you know you got discoloration. I don't care if you know you like full coverage. I like full coverage too, okay? But always start with a light layer of foundation first and foremost, okay? Then you can build it up in the areas where you need extra coverage. Only need to put concealer where it's needed, like under your eyes. You don't gotta pull your concealer way back up here to your baby hairs, girl. Like, for what? You apply your contour where it's needed, you apply your foundation where it's needed, and that's it. Now, if you keep those layers of makeup really thin, when your oil actually does start to come through, it's just going to make it look like the skin is shiny instead of the foundation or concealer actually breaking apart. So when you layer on all these heavy layers of product, by the time that oil comes through the bottom there, it's literally just pushing it away and causing your makeup to actually break up and pull apart on the skin. So when you keep the layers nice and thin, it has no opportunity to do that. Now, granted, I use a lot of products on myself. I use a lot of products on my clients, but I always keep the layers of them thin, which is why I feel like, number one, my makeup actually looks like my skin. And number two, I can get 12, 14, sometimes 16 hours of wear out of my makeup. Yes, I'm oily or shiny at the end of the day, but my makeup is still in place. Nothing has moved, nothing has broken apart. It's still a set face. So back up on them products, girl. Just take it down a notch. You at a 10. You're at a 10. Just bring it on down to like a 7. All right, you guys, just to round this off, just a few other things I want to mention. Foundation routines are not one size fits all, which is why I didn't make this video saying, here's my foundation routine and this lasts all day, because what lasts all day on me, like I said in the beginning, may not last all day on you. You have to be willing to do some trial and error and be willing to put in a little bit of work and see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Another thing you want to remember to do is take your time during your foundation routine. The better that you put it on, the longer it's going to last, okay? If you just take 5 minutes to slap on your foundation, concealer, and powder real quick and head out the door, it might look good, but it's not going to last you the entire day. You definitely want to make sure that you're taking the time and really putting some love and care into that skin routine and being strategic about where you're placing things and how much you're using and paying attention to what's on your brush and what's on your sponge. All of that is really important. Also remember that not all foundations are created equal, okay? So when you're looking for something that is going to be long wear, just because you love a foundation or it looks beautiful on you doesn't mean that you can get long wear out of it. look for foundations that have an actual long wear claim to them, or some sort of hour claim. Like you have some foundations that'll say 12 hours, 16 hours, 24 hours. Don't leave your makeup on for 24 hours, but you know what I mean. I would say if something says it's long wearing, I would say give it a try. You may have a foundation that looks beautiful on the skin for 2 hours and then it's just trash. Not all foundations is meant to carry you through an apocalypse, okay? They're not. Now, my last tip for you is kind of interesting because I told you guys that I don't like to touch up, and I don't. I rarely ever do. But if I know that I'm finna be out all day, okay? All up in these streets. Well, I ain't been in nobody's streets because we quarantined, but when I was all up in the streets and out for extended periods of time, especially in the summertime when it be hot and your makeup breaks down a lot quicker, there is one product that I can honestly recommend in confidence to anyone using any type of foundation, any skin type that you have. This will work for you. And it's this right here. I know you guys can't see it, but it is the Becca powder. It's oh Lord, I don't know how the YouTubers do it like this. It's a Becca Hydro Mist Set and Refresh Powder. Now this powder, y'all, I can't even explain what the hell type of sorcery is up in here, but this is a powder that feels wet. You literally put it on your skin and it feels wet. I don't know how they do that. I don't know what kind of magic unicorn tears are in here or anything like that. I'm not sure, but this is it right here. Dust it all over your face really quickly. Not only are you refreshing your makeup, because it's literally wet, it's like hydration, but you're also going to reset it as well. So it does actually give a little bit of staying power. If you just need some insurance, pick this up. This is your insurance right here. And make sure you get you a little brush so that you can put it on too. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you are now gonna rethink the way that you put on your foundation and concealer when you know you about to be out. I keep saying these things like we have anywhere to go. Now you know what to do. So I hope you guys learned something. Please let me know in the comments if you guys have any other tips for longevity for makeup, or if there's another video that you would like me to do, please let me know. All right, bye.